Yeah, and by the way, they don't do this in Europe. So yeah, one of my last acts in my past region, the Marches, which is going to be on Start the Week, not Start the Week, in our time. I'll have to say, the you guys doing okay, although he hasn't got Melvin Bragg's sense of humour. Yeah, so it's on the Marches, and they'll be coming up with all sorts of bullshit. But just like, I mean, so I went to the Green Man Festival in Clun, which is just only because I was camped in that area 3 years ago. And it's just, the Green Man Festival is a completely and utterly made up festival 20 years ago for the tourists. Full stop. Like, I lived in that area. I actually saw it happen. Started, me and my daughter we went to the first one and there were about three of us. And then, yeah, they made it up for the tourists. But here's the thing. It's like, every time you turn on the radio, all these ridiculous festivals. And yeah, when I went to the Green Man Festival, in 2023, there were thousands of people there in the middle of nowhere at this dump, ridiculous theme park festival with all the latest, just about still legal psychedelic-ish, just a little bit mushrooms, which will give you great deep insights, and you'll become the ultimate shaman, and you'll be switched into the complete and utter zen of them. The mythical bullshit. It's just like paganism, which is like, the most trendy thing in the world, and it grew gradually in my last area. Like, the ultimate in virtue signaling is to say, well, I'm a pagan. Yeah, well, Paulo Coelho destroyed humanity the way he used women in his books. But let's just keep to the point. So, yeah, 2 years ago I met a guy, and I was so impressed with this guy. And he was a bit of a history expert, and he just merely said that when the Romans came over a couple of thousand years ago, the Romans were real townies. They were obsessed with the town. They were pathetic dilettantes who had to have a bistro and a sauna. But the Romans called their townspeople cives, and they didn't really like the country people, the ruffians, but we're always the more intelligent ones. If you look at all of British literature, the real thinkers, Wordsworth, John Clare, George Eliot was basically a country lass. Even your Brontes and your Austens were basically country folk. Mary Shelley, I think, was a townie, yes. Yeah, so the Romans called the people who lived not in the towns, they simply call them the pagans. And that's what the Roman word for country folk. That's all paganism was. No, there was no ism. That's where the word came from. You lot live in the countryside. We don't really understand you, but the Romans were more intelligent than to start to impute magical second sight and all that hocus pocus voodoo. And yet, what's happened in the last 20 years? It's like, some townie goes and spends some time in the countryside. The ultimate is to say, well, I'm here to kind of be with the pagans. Paganism. And at last I've met somebody who actually can make jokes about it. Because that's what you need. There's 10 times more interesting things to figure than to follow these nonsense, just merely fashion statement, bogus bullshit, bollocks, belief systems. Precisely! Trump has a shaman attacking, what's the Capitol Hill? Exactly! You know? It's all nothing. Nobody knows anything. Which is true. Truth isn't beauty. Well, no, the truth that nobody knows anything. That's beautiful. Real energy comes from accepting we know nothing. Almost nothing.